Good morning, everyone. This is Becky here at Aunt Beck's Creations. I'm 4 minutes a little bit early from the time I said I'd be on, but I thought I would come on and show you the blocks that I consider nearly done. I am planning to add beadwork as well because I have all this great big thing of beads that I got at the thrift store. So I'm going to do a little beading additionally, but today I'm just going to show you how to do the connected fly stitch. That's all this is here, my little vining work, and add buttons. And I'll show you how I put this word on here. This actually says create. I should have not connected my R and my C here, and it would have looked clearer, but it's okay. I know what it says, and this bag is for me. And I put buttons on. I've done the additional stitch work. I've added these hearts, and I'm thinking of filling them in with some ink tints because, once it's dry and set, then it's permanent. So that's what I've got. See, here's my buttons that I've pulled aside. And I am continuing the red, aqua, and kind of yellow color scheme for these. So this is a side, and this is another side, and I put the stitch bag on there because that's what this is going to be. And there's more red hearts that I do think I will color in with the ink tints. And then the bottom looks like this because I wanted the bottom to have where it looked like the stuff that's growing on the side, the roots have come across the bottom. I did stitch my initials and January 2024 so that I would remember. The January is hard to see, but it's there. Good morning, Barbara. I'm trying to get it so you can see the whole piece that I'm showing you at once. So there's those, and there's a bunch of hearts on the bottom because love comes from your heart deep inside the roots of how you were raised. That's where love comes from. So this will be face down, and then this will be a side, and this will be a side, like so. And then I've got the other two sides here. So I'm going to, these three pieces I consider done. And all I'm going to do is show how to do the fly stitch and how I put the word on. I have this stencil, but you could use any letter stencil. Hi, Pam. Hi, Mina. But this one, if you line it up well, here's another side. You can nearly hook your letters together. This says dream, and I'm still showing some pencil lines there. I didn't get them erased very good, but again, this is for me. And as you can see on this one, I still need to add a little bit more of the connected fly stitch to make my kind of like seaweedy stuff, I guess you would say. And I haven't decided if I'm going to put a word on here or not, because if you fold your seam allowance of a 1/2 inch over here and I fold the top down like it's going to be, only that much of the heart's going to show. So I don't think I'm going to bother putting a word there. I could put something there, maybe I could put the year on it again so it would have the year on it. But what we're going to do is I'm going to set this one aside. I still have to work on this one, but I want to start y'all off with a fresh one. So the final side is here. And the first thing I do is I put the word on. And I'm going to fold this to see where to make sure I'm starting. And I need a word. What word do we want to put? It's got to fit in this space here. I thought put love on it. I think I might because that's what that heart is. So I'm going to grab my pencil back that I just put away because I didn't think, oh, you're not going to need that. I'm going to put love on here, and I'm going to spell it backwards so that I make sure this is all on here. So I'm going to put the E on first, and I just set the stencil about where I want it. And it's got, because this is to do like paint, it's got, the breaks in it. And I just do a line about the center of the stencil opening. So the E is there now. I can see it. And then I just connect that down. And then I'm going to go to the V. And you can see on the V, it's got a little tail. So you line that tail up with the back of the E. So it connects to it like so. The U and the V nearly look alike on here. Actually, that needs to go that way. All this will be hidden under my stitches. And then the O is here. I'm going to line that up with about right there on that side. If you don't have a stencil, you could do your own handwriting. And then an L is right here. I got to darken this up a little bit. I can see it. It's just... All right. And that'll show up better once I stitch it. Hi, Safia. Love was the first word that came to mind. All right. And I did the words, except for the January, I did in this anchor thread, which is a real dark, almost a forest green. Can I find the tail? I think that's to the spool. I think there's a piece already loose on here somewhere, right there. And I use 2 strands, so I gotta pull some strands out. And I just get the ends loose and I pull one at a time. And then straighten this all back out. And then we'll pull another strand. I just thought I'd come on and stitch with you guys for a little bit. I don't have to take my mother-in-law to the doctor because my sister-in-law came up from Georgia to take her. And but I don't want to be, on when it's Dee Dee's time. And I don't want to miss Janet today. Janet Nash comes on at 9 o'clock and don't want to miss her. So I'm going to put a knot in it and come up from the back. And then I'm just going to start doing back stitches. What, Cole? Do you want to come in with Grandma? Let me go grab my grandkitty in from the bonus room or he'll wake Greg up. I'm coming. Now. All right, come on. Good morning, Fluffy. Fluffy Cole monster. He just wants to come in and go sleep in the dining room. All right. I didn't come up right on the right spot, so I'm going to pull it back out. I might pull you guys closer so I'm not having to lift my arms up. I don't want to aggravate that nerve in my neck too soon this morning. I'm going to drag you guys over closer to me. I'll move the buttons. There we go. And my left knee is almost not hurting anymore, which is a thrill for me. Let's see. I'm going to come up at the top here. Actually, I'm going the wrong way. No, I'll get it. It'll be fine. All right. So I'm just going to come up and go down and do back stitches. So I'm going to come down a ways and go back in where I went down in. I'm going to go back in, but now that I've gotten started, I'm not going to go up and down. I'm just going to pull it and come through the fabric and out at this other point, like so. I've got a pretty long thread here, so it'll probably tangle on itself. Trying to keep my stitches about the same length. So what's everybody else doing? I'm just doing a back stitch on this word love. Yeah, me too. I'm still going to share it with the new nurse practitioner, and she'll probably want me to go to a orthopedic surgeon. Greg took a drive up to south of the border, which for anybody that doesn't know, it's just like a real old-timey on the side of the highway place to grab your money as you come through South Carolina. And it always looks abandoned to me, so I didn't know it was a going concern. Greg's like, oh, yeah, it's a going concern. I knew back in the 70s and 80s, the people around us would have the bumper stickers on their cars from south of the border. They have an American-style restaurant and a reptile place, which I don't care anything about reptiles. But, yeah. A lot of my stitching, as you can see on this circle here, I've been using variegated threads, and it was just a JP Coats, one of those variegated sets that you can buy, all the different ones. So one side of my box may end up, or my bag, may end up being in a different colorway, but it's variegated thread, so I don't think it's going to matter too much. And I'm trying to just use what I have. I'm getting the box ready to send up to Shelly for the auction. They're going to get the stuff in so they can get it all sorted before the auction. And I decided I'm going to make some tags to put on the things I send. And I'll show you one of the tags real quick because I just got it started. On one side, I'm put handmade by Aunt Beck's Creations. And then on this side, it says handmade with love and then purchased by. So all they have to do is write who wins that particular auction, and it'll be attached to the bag. So it'll be easier for them to, keep track of who bought what. They could even include, the price and all on there, just to help them out. I hope it is helpful and not more confusing, but to me it would be helpful. And then all they have to do is write what it sold for and who bought it, and then they can just throw it in that person's box. But I'm sure Shelly and Malia know what they're doing. They've both sold stuff before, so yeah. And I missed most of Ann yesterday because we got over to Scott's mom's really late. I mean, it was almost 5 when we left. And yeah, we stayed a little longer since his sister was there than we normally do. Mother-in-law was a little bit more confused than normal. And she was complaining about how cold it was, and her house was set at 74 degrees, so we were sweating. She always asks us, well, how much was your power bill? And I was like, the same it is every month, because we do the, where they figure out your average and you pay the average each month. Because then we don't get killed with like a bill for, $350 or $400 a month. It stays the same every month. I prefer that. I prefer a regular payment. And if you have a different stencil than I do and it makes block letters, that could be cool too. But since I started with the stencil that I'm using to make these letters, I figured I'd just continue it. And I'm just going in where I went down in the first time, and then I just kind of bend the fabric and come back out about the distance away from where this thread is that I went in before, and then just try to pull it up. It is a little more tricky when you're going through the interfacing and the batting, but I like the texture of stitching through the batting. Gives you it. When you run your hand across it, you'll be able to tell the difference of where you stitched when it was just fabric, and then where the stitches are going through this, you can feel the dimension in there. My eyes aren't quite awake, so I keep missing where the stitch needs to go. Yes, budget billing. That's it. Safia's got it. We have to do that because if we didn't, it would be crazy between the air conditioning and, when we get this cold couple months of January and February. Our main concern, though, is that air conditioning part because it gets so hot here. I love when there's new people to South Carolina or new people to the South. Oh, this is going to be the coldest night ever. And I'm like, we haven't gotten through January and February yet, and you're in South Carolina. Just wait, because we've had snow and ice in February. So saying that our 18-degree night the other night's the lowest we're going to have, it's impractical. If it sticks too much, I push the back of the needle on my mat so that I'm not trying to pull with my fingers. So that's the back stitch I'm using for the letters. If you guys don't mind, I'm just going to finish this word. And now I'm gonna travel over to the other side from here to where the V starts, right there. And I need to hold the thread down here and just tug a little to expose more of the thread. All right, I'm going to travel up here and then I'll start moving back down. We'll go in up here and come back down there. And then I'll go in where I went in before and kind of bend it a little bit and have the needle come out about the stitch length I want. And I just do that all the way around. And I'm only going to share maybe one branch of the fly stitch connected, and then I'll show you how I did those hearts. I kind of cheated to make the hearts. I had actually sewn the piece down. See, I pushed into the table instead of my finger so I don't end up with sore fingers. And I didn't like those after I sewed them down, so I just stitched around them, and I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. That's why I like to stitch here at the table, because I've got my cutting mat here and I can just push the back of the needle with it. I need to find the thimbles that I have. But if you just push it on the table, then you don't have to pull so hard. If I had a thimble, I'd use it. I might include some dishcloths, maybe a set of 3 dishcloths in the sale as well. We'll see how many I can get done today while I'm watching Janet. Oh, it feels really warm in here. Like I turned the heat up too far. Let's see here. I'm going to go in here. Mary Lou's here. Good morning, Mary Lou. So you can see how the word love is coming out slowly. I'm getting there. I saw that Deb Farrell made it to Mexico, but that the son-in-law and husband are sick with a stomach bug because they've been sharing a room at the resort. I hope Deb doesn't catch it. Stomach bugs are awful. I'm one of those travelers. I want to carry cleaner with me. I know that sounds crazy, but whenever we travel, I clean the bathroom again. I'm one of those weirdos. Sorry. I don't trust that they've cleaned it with the right things. So I clean the tub and I clean the sink and clean the commode. I do all of that when we travel. I know that sounds nuts. Oh well. That's just me. Just don't trust housekeeping motels. There's been some documentaries about how they clean the coffee pots, so you're safer going down and getting the coffee at the breakfast buffet that they do. And try to always find somebody that does some continental breakfast. I want the continental breakfast so that I don't have to go to a restaurant, save money, Or if they have a little fridge, go to a grocery store and get, yogurt and stuff and just have it in your room. The only problem with that is you got to trust that coffee maker in the room, and I don't. Not after watching that documentary about how they clean that coffee pot. Everybody's up early today. Scott got off from work. He should be just about to work if he's not there already. It's about a 40-minute drive. The good part about him leaving so early is he misses, school buses and that kind of thing in the morning. In the afternoon, though, he hits the school bus traffic, so he keeps trying to find easier ways. I'm a little off, but I'm trying to hurry. I'm not getting zen with my stitching. When I'm sitting here by myself, it's slow and steady. But I just love that stencil and how the words come out with it. Oh, and I got to remember, I promised Janice that I'd send her some batting. So I need to get a piece of batting out and send it. She's got some styrofoam. She wants to make some kind of decorative blocks to hang on her wall, to hang art pieces on. So I said, I've got batting. I'll send you some batting. So I need to get that in a box too, or an envelope or something. She said she doesn't need much. I've got scraps, that would be perfect for that kind of thing. From where I've, cut away for like a baby quilt. In fact, I probably have enough sitting here from this project. I'm not going to use any more of that. So I could give her some of that. There you go. Then we've got love. And I'll just turn it over here. And I'll go under the last stitch. Wrap the thread around a couple times. Pull it down to the base of the needle and hold it against the thread. And then you just pull your thread up taut. And there's the knot right down there. And then I'm going to hide the tail in the batting a little bit and snip it away. Let me do some housekeeping on this thread. Oh, let me turn that back over so you have something to look at. There we go. Ta-da! This is all, it feels really cool. I love the texture of making my own fabric. And like I said, I think I will, excuse me, my oatmeal's not setting well on my stomach. I'm going to add some beading too. Hoping to get the beading done by Wednesday. And with that, you have to have a real thin needle to go through those beads. And I'll just use regular sewing cotton for that. And I just add beads here and there along the fly stitch. Yes, I'm going to save even that piece. So I'm going to put the green away. And wondering what I did with maybe I had used it all. I think I had. So let me see if I can find another one that's got about the same colors as I had been using. This is close enough. This will work. But you see, that set came with all these different variegated threads. Like that. And so they change color as you go along. So I don't think it's going to be real noticeable that I'm changing to another color. Yeah, because the other one I used the empty ones in with the beads. So I would definitely get, if you like something fun in your stitching, get a package of those variegated. I think the store brands work just as good as name brands. This is JP Coats. But then, there's not Bilo, Walmart brand. Michael's has their own no-name brand type stuff. And it just comes in the variety pack. It's a way to get a bunch of interesting threads without spending a ton of money. And I just love working with the variegated thread. The only thing is you got to make sure you're, putting the same colors. Like this thread goes from a light purple to a green. So you want the two light purple ends to match. So your thread matches all the way down through. If not, you could do it the other way and have even more, variation. And then I just kind of pull them back together. And then we thread it up and we go to town. Now, when I'm doing these fly stitches, you don't start from the bottom. You start where the top of your plant will be. Let me pull a piece that I've already done out. You work top down on this one, which will work out good for you guys to see it as it's growing toward you. I'll grab one of my other pieces here. The connected fly stitch, you work here and down. And then if you want to, like this one, I worked down and stopped at the heart and I tied a knot under the heart. I went under the heart and then tied a knot right there. And then I just started another one and kind of connected them. So it looks like this little piece here may be a branch or something there. And that's how I did the connections from the top to the bottom. So let me show you. Carol showed how to do this, and then I became addicted to this stitch. So what you do, let's start way up here. Yeah, because you guys can see there. Come up here. And what you're going to do is you're going to work to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. If you want to move over a little bit, you would do 2 to the left and then back and forth and then do, that's how you get it to move. That's how you get this movement. See how it goes back and forth, back and forth. And like if you want to travel, see how I did 2, 3 in a row that went to the right? You just keep doing that. So let me show you how. Let me uncross my legs. That's what gets me in trouble is the crossing my legs. All right. So the thread is coming out right here. Put your thread so it makes a big loop and comes around. Come over about maybe a ½ inch. So the thread is here and I'm going in here. Tip your fabric so that your needle comes out a little ways down, about a ½ inch down, and in the middle of the mark, the distance, not mark, the distance between where the thread is and the needle is going in, come back out a little ways down. And then as you pull, the thread will be around and behind, and you end up, that's what is called a fly. You see the little fly right there? So now we're going to get your thread, and let's go to the right this time. So we do it again from the distance where the thread came out over. And you can make these as big as you want. I'm trying to keep mine uniform. Then do a little bend and then come back out. Just make sure your thread travels behind the needle and back around. And then when you pull, it makes it like that. So now I've got 2 flies flying together. So now I'm going to make my thread travel the opposite way to the left, and I'm going to come across the distance I want my stitches to be wide, go in, and then I just kind of bend the fabric and then come out about halfway between and draw up. And that's how you get the stitch going back and forth. It's kind of hard to see until we get to the dark blue. So I'm just going to keep doing that. I would recommend if you're like just starting to do this stitch, maybe get you a little practice piece of fabric and try it. Let's say we want to travel a little bit more toward the middle of the piece. So I'm going to do another one over here on the left side. And that moves me over some. And then I can go back to the right. Right, left, or two lefts, two rights, three rights, you know. You're just kind of making this up as you go along. But when you pull your thread, you want to pull it toward the bottom of your piece so that this lays flat. If you pull it towards you, this string you have back here is going to lay flat up here. You don't want that. So I'm going to come back this way. So pull it down like that. We're fixing to get a color change where it's easier to see. You can vary, change the width and depth of your each stitch if you want a little bit, bigger pieces. Just like seaweed has different lengths of their leaves. Okay, let's go back this way. You just want your thread to travel in the same direction as you're working your stitch. So this time it's going to the left. If I was going to put a stitch over here, you'd want your thread to be traveling around this way. But this way, I want it to travel this way. So that when you put your needle in and you come back out a little ways, then everything's in the right position to, as you pull your thread, it just lays where you want it to go. And now you'll be able to see where it's traveling. I'm going to do another one on that side because I want this to come more to the middle a little bit. But to get that kind of stick-like look, you do want to go back and forth. One stitch to the right, one to the left. The only time you want to do multiples in any direction is if you want to move your stitches over. And the reason I do that is I might want to bring another branch in, maybe start here and then work it so it connects with this stitch down farther. So it looks like different branches, like here. That's how I did that. And down here is the same. That's how you do all those different branches. It's just really fun. It's simple and easy, and it looks really cool. I just love it. It still hurts your brain. Oh, it's so easy and fun to do. This is the one that Carol showed us how to do that I just fell in love with. And if I remember right, Anne was cursing the flies. But I think you've eventually got it, Anne, didn't you? You eventually got it. It just takes practice. I bought a stitch book. I need to learn more, but I've been having fun following Catherine and Marion's World. Marion's World yesterday, I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, she shared putting her hand-stitched bird wall hanging together. She said it was originally going to be a book, but then she decided to turn it into a wall hanging. And I shared a link in my group to it. Oh my word, it's stunning. She hand-stitched all of those birds with thread. I am amazed. But I do need to get back to my list of things I want to get finished. I'd like to have at least 4 things off that list before the end of the month. There's a couple things on there. If I quickly pulled them out today, and finish them, I could include those as like a surprise elements to be added to my box. All right, now because I've hit the heart, I don't want to go over my heart. I want this to look like it's going behind the heart, and I don't want to waste thread. So I'm going to take my stitch and kind of hide it under the heart, but come out the back, and I'll just tie it off. And I might just tie it into the batting. Just put my needle through just the batting, wrap my needle a couple times, draw it up, and there's a knot there now, and then hide a tail in the batting. That's another thing. The batting gives you another place to hide your tails. All right, so I'm going to put another branch over here. I don't even mind if some of it is in where the two sides will come together. It'll just look like it carries on around the bag. Oh, you have to look it up every time. Yeah, more practice. I was up half the night just choking, coughing. Scott had started the vaporizer in the bedroom. I had to get in the front room in my recliner, the living room, where this room used to be in there, but that's where my recliner is, because then I can close the door between the kitchen and the dining room, and Greg can still get into the refrigerator without waking me up. Because if I forget to close that door and he comes in, he flips that kitchen light in, it's like, acid to the eyeball, It's like, dang, son, I'm in here trying to snooze. I'm telling you what, if that recliner ever dies, we'll have to get another one, because I spend way too much time in that recliner. I love the ones we tried out up in Traveler's Rest at that furniture store that time. That one was so comfy and squishy, and it just kind of melted around me. And I was like, oh, I want this recliner so bad. All right, I'm going to come again over this way, because I'm working toward the branch I originally did, because I want to connect them. But I'm going to give it another stitch to the right. And then I'll just do a couple to the left. And then what I'm going to do, let's see, one more. Can I get one more over this way? I'm not going to end up with much for the back to tie off, but it'll be all right. We'll make it work. And then I'm just going to make this one meet up with the one that I did before and put this to the back. And that way it looks like they've branched off from each other. We'll pull this to the back. See? Now they look like they're connected, right? So that is how I did this stitch. And what I will do, let's see, pull that up and I put this through this way and put it through the back and squish that down to the fabric, and then hide the tail a little. All right. And what I'll do is I'll try to eyeball it and come out here at the bottom just to take it to the edge, so it looks like this grew up behind the heart. Now I want to show you how I did the hearts. I have these felt hearts from the dollar store, and I just like, maybe let's stick one. I usually don't do these until I have all of my twiggy bits done, but I'll put one on here at the top of this one. And generally I'll get my twiggy bits on, and then I'll, add the hearts like this, just so I can see how they look. I almost want something else on top of the red lace, but that might be where I put some beadwork, is on the red lace bits. But see, I'm going to put like maybe 3 hearts on here. But these two I won't put on until I finish my twiggy bits. And I'm going to pin that there. And then I just do back stitches around the outer edge. And then I just take this and put it back in my jar. Here, Hedgie the hedgehog. Oh. I'm just going to pin this on and stitch around it with red. And then I really want to, maybe we'll do that on the ones that I consider done. Go ahead and paint with the, what's it called? Ink tints. This already has a knot in it. This will get me started. Oh, time for lunch for Barbara and hubby. Okie day. I always forget you guys are way ahead of us. Oh, well, if you don't have to work outside the home, does it really matter as long as you're getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep? They say it doesn't matter when you get it. Let your body decide. I had to be up so early for my job at Michael's that I kind of enjoy sleeping in till 5 because I used to have to be to work at like 2 or 3 a.m. because I was part of the replenishment team. I was one of the lead merchandisers. I trained everybody that came in on how to do replenishment and how to do resets and all that kind of good stuff. And if I ask for what I'm actually worth, most of these stores around here don't want to pay it. So I'll just stay home and do my own thing and get up when I want to. And just make sure everything goes smooth for Scott so he doesn't have to do anything except go to work. He's kind of spoiled in that. And it's not like people say, oh, well, we can't afford to stay home. Well, we cut a lot of costs. I mean, it's a trade-off. We don't have all the googads and doodads and all of that. But we live a pretty happy life. And that's what's really important. It's being happy, not collecting a bunch of things, I wish we could travel more, but maybe in our retirement we'll get a chance to do that. I'm going to push this pin in so that the head of the pin is right on top of the heart so it's out of my way, and I'm just going to keep going. Is Joyce here? Hi, Joyce. Good morning. I think I'm going to lead a crochet along to make a water bottle tote using the skinny little reusable water that you get like if you go to the zoo or whatever. I love that size, and I love that they're like a metal container because they keep the water nice and cold. So I think that'll be, once I finish this, that'll be our next work together project. It'll be a crochet project. And I'm trying to think of, instead of trying to do every different thing, I'm trying to, on here, focus on one project until we get it done, and then do my own thing in between when I need a break from the project, work on something else. Like I made the baskets for the auction. And oh, another thing I'm going to add on those tags is I'm going to go ahead and fill in how big around it is, the baskets are at the base, and tell the height so that that information is right there and they won't have to measure it for anybody. They'll have the distance around at the base and the height of the baskets. So I've got to get that done too. Now this one I'm going to go all the way to the back and then come up because I can't get close enough tipping the fabric to get to the other side of the heart here. I'm not going to have enough thread to get all the way. Playing thread chicken. I will have to get a jug of water and a paintbrush. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this to the back and tie this one off and get a fresh piece to finish this heart out. And wrap it a couple times. 1, 2. And hide the thread a little bit in the backing. I did find my thread and yarn bag that I'm saving all my little bits for a project. I found that the other day. It's just sitting behind me on my little rolly sewing cart. I want to pull off enough to. I'm kind of glad this is the last side because I'm getting low on this red too. At least in this box I am. I might have some in another box. And again, I'm using just 2 of these threads. So I'm separating them. Get one and pull one out. And then straighten your string back out, the whole strands. And then get another single. Maybe. It is currently 23 degrees. Oh, you know what? Let me do something real quick. Bernie? Well, she must be sound asleep in her doghouse because I can't. I usually can clap and she'll hear it, but she must be really out right now. I'll go out and get her. She does have a doghouse. It's so cold. Oh, come on. Thread the needle. I do have a needle threader in that box. Did I pull it out? No. Yeah, that for what people are willing to pay, Heather, I'm just, by the time I bought clothes for work, because you know you have to buy uniform shirts if you work in a retail store. They don't furnish those shirts. You have to buy them. At least that was my experience at any place I worked. Gas, wear and tear on the car. You're eating out more. It's just not worth it to me. It's just, we will never be rich and we're okay with that. And you know, I've never been one to want to be a wealthy individual. I just want to be happy. All right. what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold the heart in place, and I'm going to turn the pin in the opposite direction and then shove the Sharpie bit away from me so I don't poke myself. And I'm going to keep working till I finish my heart. And then I think I'll dig the ink tints out and we'll color the hearts on my other section. And then I can kick you guys loose to stitch on your own. So if you've got something you can stitch around and use it over and over, I mean, even draw a shape and then utilize it over and over. You don't necessarily always have to stitch something down. You could even take a shape stencil and do like we did for the letters on the heart and just draw around in it with a pencil and then stitch on that line. Or if you're a free spirit, you just want to draw the form, go for it. It all boils down to the same thing goes by many names. Everybody will teach it differently. Everybody will have a different technique to share. So you do what speaks to you. I just like to leave enough space where I can do some fancy beadwork. Oh, you know something else we have to do on here is we'll stick a button on because I've got to add the buttons. I did not put buttons on the panel that's for the bottom of this bag because I don't want buttons to scratch a table or get broken by being sat down hard or something. I would rather just have the bottom just stitching so there won't be any buttons or beading work done on the bottom of my bag. That's why I did excessive stitching on the bottom. But on the sides, I'm going to add the buttons, and I'll probably just put beads along this to make it look like bubbles, like this is under the sea, maybe. Or you could just put groups of 3 beads together here and there. Again, it's whatever speaks to you. It's your project. You just want to make sure you stay away from where your presser foot's going to need to walk when we sew these together. Now, you really don't have to worry about it if you're going to sew it all together by hand, but I would much rather just speedily, after doing all this work on the sides, I would rather stitch the panels together on the machine. And that is what we are going to do on Wednesday. Okay, I'm going to go down and finish this stitch out. And then just to fill in this space from the beginning stitch, the first stitch and the last, I'm going to come up at the end and go back down at the end of the last stitch here. And that will finish this heart off. And then I'll knot it, but I'm going to pull this off and see, there's your little heart that now you can fill in. I'm just going to pin that right to the side of Hedgie. So there, Hedgie has a heart on his shoulder. All right, we need to tie this off on the back. Go under a stitch, wrap it around a couple times, pull it down to the fabric, hold it, then pull your needle through. And then that way your knot is down on your fabric. If you don't push it down to meet the bottom of the needle and then hold it there, it'll be up in the middle of the air. All right, so there's that. So let's put, and I've been sewing the buttons on with the red thread. Yes, and I agree. No money, no problems. I just don't think you have to have a bunch of money to be happy. Here's a sparkly button. Let's stick a sparkly button. I think I'll put it, I don't want to get too close to the side there. I'm going to put it right here. So I'm just come up through. And you don't have to even have the buttons follow anything you already have on here if you don't want to. And I just go through the button, up and down through the buttonholes. This one only has 2. My problem is coming up from the back and finding the hole in the button. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. Now, on here, I just sew the buttons tight, but do you know that when you sew buttons on your clothes, you should not sew them tight? What you should do is get you a toothpick and lay it across the center of your button and sew over the toothpick. Because on your shirt, you actually want to have a little space between the fabric and the button to get it through the buttonhole and to give a place for the fabric from the other side of your placket to have a place to live. If you don't leave a little space there, then you're putting stress on the button all the time and it'll just pop right back off. There's a tip for you. But on here, I'm not going to actually be button it. These are just for decorative purposes. It'll be your art, Heather, and that's all that matters. And remember, anything we do always has an ugly phase. Sometimes it stays with us till the end, but other times, boom, you get a pretty bit. So I want to, I'm going to back you guys back up. And for anybody that missed it, I'm going to put these threads in my tray of buttons because I'm going to be using more of those. I'll quickly share the pieces again. I'm going to back you way up. And I want to, ow. If I hyperextend the left leg, that's when it hurts really bad. Okay. So I'm going to lay you the components down and just so that you guys can see. All right, so let me see here. Let me find the bottom first. Hang on, because we need that in the middle. This is my extra piece, and we could do an internal pocket for our bag, make pockets out of this if we wanted, or do something else with it. It's up to y'all. That's like the added bit. Okay, so here's my bottom here. So then I'll have a side added on, a side added on here, and a side added on here. And you can see why I put this comes in the stitches toward the middle of my bottom is so that it looks like it's growing. Because when we add our seam allowance, this much of these won't, they'll be sewed over each other. And then the last one will go this way. When you're getting ready to put your sides on, keep in mind the top of the box is going to be on the outside edges. So you want your, like this one, you look at this one and you'd think, oh, well, maybe it needs to go this way. Well, then your love is going to be upside down. You want everything to face the bottom of the bag. Then when we go on Wednesday to sew these together, we'll start with this side. And because we marked our seam allowance, we'll sew from where these two sides meet to here. So from here to here. You don't sew all the way to the edge. If you do, you'll have yourself in a pickle and you'll have to unpick some stitches in that seam line. You're going to want to stop right there. And then that will fold back like so. But in all actuality, that's wrong, Becky. Because you want your sides to go like this. This will be like this. Well, actually, it'll be right. Because those will still be like that. It's just this will come up like that. I'm right. I was right. We'll get it all figured out on Wednesday. All right. Let me grab some ink tints and a paintbrush, and we'll fill in some of these hearts real quick, and then I'll let you go. Can I find the ink tints quickly? We will never know. I know I have some. Sorry. Brushes. That'll be the last blooming thing I find. Derwent ink tints. I think that's what these are. Let me see. Ink tints. And I have a water brush in here, but there's no water in it. Let me just grab a brush out of the box. Mm-hmm. I'll just use this one. All right. There's those. Let me grab some water. I'm not going to bother putting all this away because I have to put the ink tints back away in a little bit. And I don't want to make all that noise for you guys. All right. I'm going to, let's see, this one still needs more work in this one because they don't have any buttons on them yet. I'm going to set those aside because I don't want to get them wet. So we'll just paint the hearts on these 3 blocks. And I'm going to use red. Is Stacy here? Good morning, Stacy. I think you guys can see. We'll get this wet. And then I'll just paint these. I am going to switch, though, to crocheting on those dishcloths. Shannon showed how to do a dishcloth. Was that Saturday? I think that was Saturday. And I started one following her pattern. Oh, yes. I like them colored in. Yes, yes, yes. And these are ink tints, so once they dry, they're permanent. I need to set these somewhere so they can get good and dry. And they can't be laid on by the CATs. And then this piece is the bottom, so it won't get any more, it won't get buttons or beads or anything. So I will probably watch some of Dee Dee because I always want to say hello to Dee Dee and wish her a good week. And I watch her until Janet comes on, and then I'll jump back to Dee Dee after Janet goes off. But I do want to get my package ready to go. Oh dear, it's bleeding out. But you know what? I'm going to let it do. Got that one too wet. It's spreading. Not going to fuss about it. Got too wet. My bad. Kind of gives it a halo around it. Yeah, that one I got way too wet. Might need to take some cough medicine. This keeps up. Yeah, these are all, I'm getting it too wet. Live and learn. And this is on the bottom of the bag, so it doesn't really matter, right? Just kind of scrubbing it in. If that does it on any of the sides, that'll give me an opportunity to maybe do a kind of grouping of beads that goes out into the wetted areas. I can talk. It's just Monday. And make it look like it was on purpose. Scott and I went to Taco Bell yesterday. Underwhelmed. The more I cook at home, the more I don't want to go out to eat, because every place we go out to eat's just horrible. We were talking about how things have changed. But I told him, I said, young people aren't taught to cook anymore. Everything comes pre-made. They just heat it in the microwave. So what do you expect? When you go out to eat, don't expect magic. Unless you really want to spend some money. And then even then, you just don't know what's going on in the restaurants. Some of the local restaurants, that have always been good, they're still pretty good because they hold themselves to high standards. But then there's other places, it's like, who have you hired in the kitchen lately? Is Angie here? Good morning, Angie. She's probably peeking from the covers. I know this is early, but I'm trying to find some time slots where nobody else comes on, so I'm not stepping on anybody's toes and, that kind of thing. All right. I got a couple that I got too wet, but I'm okay with it. All right, I'm going to do the ones on here. And then these, I only have like 3 hearts. So let's see. Put most of the moisture right in the middle and then scrub out. Maybe that'll keep it from bleeding past the edge. Yeah, putting your moisture toward the middle and then just kind of scrubbing it into the edges is probably your best bet. Like put it in the middle and scrub out. We didn't even do any thrifting or anything this weekend. Saturday, we really just stayed at home and just vegged. I mean, that's all we about can do on Saturdays. Now, Scott did fix the toilet and the bathroom that we're currently, it's the only bathroom in the house at the moment is the master bathroom. And we don't sleep in our bedroom. It's my storage right now because we had plans of finishing that room out where we're redoing some things, and the hardwood floors need to be done in there. It's a project house. I live in a project house. I think I've always lived in a project house. There's always stuff. I grew up in a house that was very slowly built, just when my uncle had time to work on it. My grandmother and I lived in the kitchen, dining area, and the living room for years. It was just the rest of the house was blocked off, and we just lived in those two rooms, and it was an interesting situation. There was no bathroom. We had to use a pot, to be honest. It was just I don't know, bedside chamber. So I've lived in project houses. I guess that's why I'm so nondescript. Don't get overly worked up about things taking forever. It's just a methodology that I'm used to. Your 14-year-old. See, I told my son, I said, look, you need to learn to cook because there's not going to be very many young women that know how to cook, and you don't want to starve to death, do you? So he knows how to cook. He cooks very well. Sometimes he goes deep into the weird stuff, but that's good that he experiments. He tells his friend, my mom says I make weird shit. I was like, well, you do sometimes. He's got some things in the freezer that I won't cook. And I told him, I said, if you don't cook them soon, you're going to have to pitch them. And that's like throwing money out. He buys stuff and then he puts it in the cabinet and forgets about it. And then it expires and goes bad. And yeah, this only has 2 hearts on it. I almost feel like I need to add another heart down here. Maybe I will later, not right away. We'll see how it goes together. Like I said, I don't ever want to fill up something because I want to leave room to add more. I'm not trying to get it done in one step. I want to have space to add interesting things to it. And the slow stitch stuff I've been working on, I have joined Catherine, K3N Cloth Tales. I joined her Facebook page. And she was doing a count on I can't remember what she calls them. I don't even know. I can't remember, so I'm not going to say it. But it's a round pin cushion you make out of 2 squares. It's pretty easy to do. I'll show you the one I made. But she was doing a count. How many of you made? Some ladies have made like 10 or 12 of them, and it's like, wow. I guess because I'm doing so many different things, I haven't made that many. All right, so there's my hearts painted. I will set these to dry somewhere. And I did because I got too wet. You see how it's bleeding off? It's good that happened on the bottom. The sides aren't too bad. No, Howard, don't get up. Stay in your bed. Here's the little pin cushion. It's made out of 2 squares. And then you put a button on either side and pull it tight. So it looks like a donut. I always want to I want to take some of my beads and put like sprinkles on it. So if you guys want to know how to do that, that's on K3N Cloth Tales website or YouTube channel. Yeah, I agree, Stacy. They just, yeah. Yeah, it was the 2 combo meals we got at Taco Bell was like close to $19. You used to go get a bag of tacos for like $5. Not anymore. All right. Any questions? I'm going to let you guys go. It's almost 8 o'clock already. So Dee Dee will be coming on in about, 40 minutes? And I will see you guys in the next one. I think I've added this live to the playlist. There is a playlist. It's called, what did I make the playlist called? Something like Make Your Own Hand-Painted Bag, I think is the playlist for this one. So this will be on there. All right. Later, guys. Love to all. Bye.